It was the middle of the night. There was a strange, unusual rush inside the emergency unit of the biggest hospital in the city. Outside in the sky, thick black clouds were gathering. The continuous rain was hitting the big glass windows, and every few minutes the bright lightning was making the whole atmosphere even more scary. In the corridors of the hospital, doctors running, nurses rushing, and the continuous beep-beep sound of the machines were creating an atmosphere as if someone's life was counting its last breaths. Inside the operation theater, a 24-year-old girl was hanging between life and death. Her name was Ananya Awasthi. A few hours ago she had met with a terrible accident. Her car, at a very high speed, had gone out of control on the highway and had collided with a heavy truck. The accident was so horrible that the front part of the car was completely crushed. Whoever had seen that scene was sure that it was almost impossible for the person sitting in the car to survive. But maybe fate had written something else for her. The doctors were trying their best, but Anya's body was continuously giving up. On the machines, the speed of her heartbeat was going down. Slowly, the lines moving on the monitor started to become straight. Every person present inside the operation theater understood that maybe now this fight was going to end. For a few moments, the whole room sunk into an uncomfortable silence. The fear was clearly visible in the eyes of her parents, who were sitting outside. Her mother was continuously praying to God, while in her father's eyes there was that helplessness which cannot be described in words. The fear of losing the daughter whom they had seen growing up in front of their eyes since childhood was shaking their soul. The doctors had almost lost all hope. But then suddenly something happened that left every human present there completely shocked and stunned. On the monitor, the heartbeats which had almost disappeared, suddenly started to beat again. First a small wave was seen, then a second one, and then the continuous chain of heartbeats came back. The doctors thought that maybe there was some technical fault in the machine, but after a few seconds they realized that this was not an illusion. Anya's heart was beating again. Something had happened which normal medical science cannot easily understand. A little while ago, the body which was standing at the door of death, life had suddenly returned into it. Next morning when Anya opened her eyes, every person present in the hospital room was feeling relieved. But no one had any idea that the girl who was lying on the bed was not just Anya. Something else had also woken up inside her. As soon as she started to gain consciousness, the expressions on her face started to change. A strange kind of fear started to show in her eyes. She was not looking at the hospital room. She was seeing something else. Something which was not present there. Suddenly many scenes started to flash in front of her. A luxurious and big villa. A marriage hall shining with bright lights. Someone's laughter. Limitless love in someone's eyes. Then suddenly that same scene turned into blood. Screams took the place of happiness. Darkness took the place of light. And betrayal took the place of love. Her whole body started to shiver. She was not able to understand what was happening to her. Every time she closed her eyes, the same scenes would appear in front of her. A tall and very handsome man, in whose eyes there was deep love. Then those same eyes would change into a misunderstanding. Then cheating. Then pain. Then death. All of this was so real that she started to feel as if she was not seeing a dream but was seeing someone's lived life. But the most surprising thing was that every emotion of that life felt like her own. That pain felt like her own pain. That love felt like her own love. That death felt like her own death. Days started to pass, but instead of getting better, the situation kept becoming more and more mysterious. Even after returning home from the hospital, Anya could not become normal. As soon as she slept at night, a different world would come alive in her dreams. Again and again she would see a girl, who did not look like her, yet was living inside her like her own self. That girl sometimes would laugh, sometimes would cry, sometimes would search for peace and comfort in someone's arms, and sometimes she would be seen taking her last breaths at the edge of a hill. Every dream would end at the same place: blood, betrayal and death. Anya would wake up every morning completely drenched in sweat, and would try for hours to control and compose herself. On the other side, in the other corner of the city, there was also a person whose life had already ended 7 years ago, even though his breaths were still going on. He was Kunal Mittal. one of the most powerful and influential businessmen in the country. Stories of his success were printed in newspapers and business magazines. People considered him as their idol. But no one knew how much emptiness was inside him. There was always a feeling of incompleteness in his eyes. His smile had become fake and artificial. In his world there was money, there was power, there was fame and name, but there was not that person without whom he once used to imagine his future. One incident that happened 7 years ago had snatched away all the happiness of his life, and since then he was just living every day. He was not actually living his life. On the other side, Anya's condition was becoming more and more strange day by day. Now she was not just getting dreams, but she had started to see many scenes even while she was awake. Sometimes she would suddenly remember the way to some unknown house. Sometimes a map of a place where she had never even been would appear in front of her eyes. Many times she felt as if someone else's memories were forcibly making a place inside her brain. In the beginning she thought of it as a mental effect after the accident. But slowly she started to realize that the matter was much deeper than that. One day she was sitting in her room and was casually reading old newspapers on the internet. She herself did not know why she was doing it. As if some invisible power was pushing her in some particular direction. Suddenly her eyes fell on a 7-year-old business news. There was a picture attached with the news. As soon as her eyes fell on that picture, something broke inside her. Her heart started to beat very fast. Her hands started to tremble. One after another, hundreds of scenes started to flash in front of her eyes. The wedding stage. Someone's smile. Love in someone's eyes. The comfort and peace of someone's arms. And then that same painful and tragic end. The face of the person in the picture was none other than Kunal Mittal. At that very moment, the door of the hidden memories inside her opened a little more. For the first time she felt that all this is not a dream. This is not a mental illness. This is not an illusion or confusion. These are memories of some life which she has already lived once before. A life which had ended 7 years ago. And at that same moment, a name woke up inside her with full force and power. Vaishali Joshi.